What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a watch list purge edition of my market updates for vintage and modern Star Wars stuff that's sold on eBay. We've got comics, we've got trading cards that are graded by PSA, we've got some mint and sealed box stuff, some baggies, and all kinds of really good stuff that has been on my watch list that I didn't bid on. Most of it was well outside my price range, but there were some really good deals on here that we're going to go through across all the different collectibles that are out there for Star Wars stuff. As always, thanks to my Patreon supporters. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up to get 24 hours early access to all my videos. We've got a smorgasbord of different stuff here. We're going to start with some baggies. This is the Darth Vader sealed baggie with the Kenner logo on the front. This is a heat sealed baggie. I had this in a what to buy video maybe 2 episodes ago, and I guessed in that video that it would sell for around $150, and I was dead on the money. It sold for $154 plus $10 shipping, which I don't think is a bad deal. It looked to be in pretty good shape overall. Everything was heat sealed and in really good shape. The Kenner logo with the made in Hong Kong writing was in pretty good shape. Probably an overall 80 grade, 85 maybe, if you're lucky, but probably an 80, 80 plus, somewhere in that ballpark. Pretty good value, I think, for a Darth Vader baggie. Those tend to be fairly expensive, and I thought that one was a good buy. Next up was a made in Hong Kong brown-haired Luke Bespin baggie, and you can see there that the torso has started to discolor, which is a common problem for this particular variant, the Hong Kong Luke Bespin with the brown hair. Those always tend to discolor. It must have been something with the factory plastic they used, because even inside this heat-sealed baggie, it still has some discoloration. That one sold for $234. Graded in high-grade 80, 85 condition, they can sell for $350 to $400. So $234.88, I thought was a pretty good value there. Same seller also had this one, the 21B medical droid. I think I have this one. I'm not sure. I think it's an ESB baggie. And again, it's a heat seal baggie. That one sold for $150, free shipping. That too, I think, was a very good value. I paid quite a bit more for mine that was already graded. It did have this hole in the baggie, but that is a factory punch to let the air out of the baggie. That's a common thing that you'll see in a lot of different baggies. But I think that was a really good buy at $150. The TIE Fighter pilot, this one was a tape sealed baggie. As you can see there's a tape. It looked to be in pretty good shape overall. What's interesting is, and this was pointed out to me by friend and subscriber Scott T, he noticed that this included the communicator for the Cloud Car pilot. So that was just a factory error, and it included that little communicator there. So it was just a common factory error that it was packed in with the Cloud Car pilot's accessories. Pretty cool error that it wasn't even advertised on the listing, but he just happened to notice it. That one sold for $175.50 free shipping. I thought that was a good buy as well. A couple of comics that sold. Well, I think I've got one comic, and then we're going to get back to the comics. This one I thought was a really good buy. This is Star Wars number 40. This is, I believe, the first mention of Rogue One, the Rogue One Squadron, or Rogue Squadron in comics. This is from 1980, and it's a great cover. This is the continuing adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back in comic book format, graded CGC 9.8 with white pages. That one sold for $212.50. Plus $13 shipping. Sparkle City Comics was the seller. I've bought from this seller before. Always happy with my purchases. Now, that one's actually a pretty good buy, because this one can sell anywhere in buy it now situations from $250 to $275. So that one's held its value pretty well despite the comic book market downturn. But we got some more coming up that have come way down versus their highs. Next up was that mint and sealed box Empire Strikes Back tripod laser cannon. This is one I had in my what to buy video, and this one went a little bit higher than I expected. I was thinking, you might get it for $200 if you're lucky. It sold for $266 plus $20 shipping, so $286 plus sales taxes. So that one went a little bit higher than I expected, but in all fairness, it was the original issue of this mini rig. It also came on the Return of the Jedi packaging, but this is the one you wanted on with the Hoth Snowtroopers on the Empire Strikes Back packaging. So it did sell pretty good money there, but it was mint and sealed box in great condition. Next up was a Droid Factory. Now, this one was sold, but it was not disclosed whether it was complete or not. It just showed it inside this kind of weird kind of cello wrap that was not factory sealed. And you can see there on the photo here that it had already been opened at least once because it had some litho damage on the left-hand side of the box. So, you know, who knows what kind of condition it was in on the inside and whether you're getting a complete set or partially complete, who knows. But it still sold for $160 with the lack of information from the seller. The seller just said, you know, it did not have any description really for the item itself. It just showed these 3 photos. So who knows what you're getting, but it did sell for $160 plus $18 shipping. Next up was a weird kind of item that I wanted to show. This was another item that was from the collection of an ex-Kenner employee, Craig Stokely. This was the CIB, the Certificate of Authenticity from AFA, and it was a jigsaw puzzle that was AFA graded, AFA 70. So not high grade, but ex-Kenner employee item, and certainly kind of a great image there that shows Luke examining R5-D4 on the front of the box with R2-D2 and the Jawas. That one sold for $215 and change plus $18 shipping. Some PSA trading cards before we get back to some action figures and comics. This was a mint PSA 9, pretty as a princess, just like Chris W. over at Rogue 5 Toys. Pretty as a princess, pretty great looking card, PSA 9, high grade, $49 plus $6 shipping. I thought that was a great buy. I would have paid that all day long. Brand new case style from PSA, $56 or $55. I think that was a great buy. Next up is the rookie card for Boba Fett in a PSA 9. This is one I would love to have, although I'm a net seller these days of PSA graded Star Wars cards. I've sold about $500 worth of PSA graded cards on eBay, and you know, some of them are sitting, some of them are selling. I put a ridiculous price on my Japanese PSA 10 Grand Moff Tarkin, and it sold within an hour. So you just never know what is going to sell. But this one did sell for $307.77 plus $8 shipping. That's down. That's way down for PSA 9 for this particular card. These were selling kind of in the $340 to $365 range. This one sold at auction for $307 and change. I thought that was a really good buy. Likewise, the same Starfile official business card for Yoda in a PSA 9. That one sold for $262.77. Another good buy there. Next up is Star Wars Jedi Mace Windu, the one-shot that features the first appearance of Asajj Ventress in comics. That one, too, is down in price. $281 plus $10.80 shipping. These were kind of going in the $320 to $350 range for the longest time, but that one did come down a little bit. I did find another one that sold for $225. So that one went a little bit higher, but that's a beautiful book and one I'd love to have eventually. This I thought was a really good buy as well. This is Star Wars Tales 23, but this is the photo variant cover, and this is the much more expensive cover typically versus the painted cover that I have in my collection. This one was listed for $275. The best offer that was accepted was $255. Now, that's usually the going rate for the painted cover. And this one usually goes for $360 to as high as $460. There was one that sold for $460 just last month. So I think that this one might have been mispriced, in my opinion. And someone got a really, really great deal on it. I would have paid the list price all day long, but they were able to talk them down another $20, which I think was a great buy. This one is worth well more than the $255 that seller took for this one. This is the origin of, this is the first cameo appearance of Darth Revan and Darth Malak, and this photo variant cover is much more desirable than the one I have in my collection. So great buy, great snipe on that one. Likewise, here was Knights of the Old Republic 42, another book in my collection. This is the origin of Revan in comics, Malak Unleashed. Great cover. I have this one. It was listed for $385, and a Patreon supporter bought it because I sent it to him, and I said, this is a really good buy right now. It's listed for $385. The seller took $347 for it, and I found 2 data points within the last couple of weeks for $450 and $475. So he got a great buy on this one. This was an absolute steal of a deal. Congratulations. You know who you are that got this one for $347. That was a really good buy. Next up is one I have in my collection, the 1-in-50 ratio variant for The Mandalorian #2, the first full appearance of Grogu in comics. And I said that it might sell for around $150. It did sell for $175.50 plus shipping. I paid $175 shipped for mine, so I feel pretty good about my purchase, given that this one sold in an auction on 20 bids for $175.50 plus shipping. So I got it for just a slight discount versus this one. Although I still argue that if you wait a little while longer, this one will be back at $150 or down to $150 from the all-time highs of around $300. To finish it off, we got 3 different baggie listings. These are the weapon and accessory baggies. They look like the survival kit baggies, although one of them looks like it might have been the baggie that came in the Rebel troop transport. These other 2 are the survival kit baggies that were advertised on the 41 back ESB cards. $177.50 for all 3 baggies. I thought that was a good buy. Next up was a lot of 10 baggies that I showed in my what to buy video, and I said that these could easily go for $1,000, and they sure did. $1,042 free shipping on 38 bids. So lots of action on those. I think it's worth every penny of $1,000. You're basically getting them for about $100 a baggie. That's a really good buy. Next up was the other lot of 10 baggies, including a Neon Numb mail-away offer. That one sold for $886 on 27 bids. But for my money, I would have taken this lot all day long for slightly more money. Much rarer baggies with the Cloud Car Pilot, the R2-D2 sensor scope, and the Luke Hoth. I think those are the main reasons why this one sold for so high. Whereas this one had the Barada baggie and the Leia Bush baggie. Those are probably the 2 best in that lot. But I think for my money, I would have taken the first lot there. Finally, we had an AFA 80 Slave 1 mint and sealed box. What a gem. And this one sold at auction. You can see it's a mint and sealed box, AFA 80, not qualified. And you don't see these pop up in this high of a grade at auction very often. Usually they can ask for $3,000 to $3,500 for an AFA 70 or 75. And this one rightly sold for even more, $4,550 on 61 bids on May 1st. Again, you know, this LJ's card shop always has really nice stuff, and this one was no exception. He's the same seller that had all those Revenge of the Jedi proof cards, but what a gem. And $4,550 is probably about right. I would argue that if this was on Hakes, it would have sold well above $5,000 and probably closer to $6,000. So great buy on that, although it's well outside of the kind of money I'd want to spend. But what a beauty. AFA 80 Slave 1 for $4,550 plus another $40 shipping, so about $4,600. That's all I really had for this watch list purge edition. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon.